ABC 10 News at 7 starts now.
Much needed money is coming to low-income Californians. Today, Governor Newsom signed a stimulus bill that will get $600 checks to 5.7 million people. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Most of those checks will go directly to Californians making $30,000 a year or less. They will also go to people without Social Security numbers, including immigrants who do pay taxes but didn't get federal stimulus checks or make less than $75,000 a year. And as our ABC 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala explains, struggling businesses are also getting a boost.
We consider ourselves lucky at this point to still be surviving in our business.
Businesses have continued to struggle across San Diego County during this pandemic. But Tuesday, Governor Gavin Newsom signed a $7.6 billion coronavirus relief package. $600 payments will go to about 5.7 million people, and there's help for small businesses, including $2.1 billion for grants up to $25,000. $50 million of the funding will be allocated for nonprofit cultural institutions.
Building on the $500 million of grants that have already been going out.
The package also includes some fee waivers.
For 2 years, there'll be no cosmetology, barbering licenses. There'll be no fees associated with those licenses or with alcohol beverage licenses.
Everything counts, of course, but it's $50 to renew my license.
Corrine Lamb owns Salado Salon in Rancho Bernardo with her husband. After more than 100 days of closures, she's thankful her business even survived.
We've received 2 grants from the county, our PPP loan, SBA loan, and honestly, more humbly, the amount of donations we've received from just people, clients, have been incredible.
But she doesn't have much faith in receiving help through the governor's new package.
Back in December, the California Relief Grant had launched, and we've been now waitlisted twice.
While she thanks her loyal clients for keeping her business afloat, she says many people in this industry have had to shut their doors permanently due to the lack of help earlier on.
It's too little, too late. You know, a lot of people have lost everything already.
Mimi Alcala, ABC 10 News.
At this point, it is still unclear when businesses can begin applying for the grants.
San Diego Unified says it has a deal and a plan to bring students back to campus. Today, the district reached an agreement with the teachers union to get educators and staff vaccinated by April 5th. Students at all grades would then return April 12th. Some parents are already protesting, saying that's not quick enough, but teachers tell us many are not willing to return to the classroom before getting the shots.
Teachers are scared of getting this virus, of affecting their families. And I think what we're asking for is completely reasonable.
There is one major catch, though. San Diego must be out of the purple tier before the students can return. Right now, we're not quite there. The county's current case rate is 15 per 100,000. We won't qualify for the red tier until we get that number down to 7.
And the county did report another 454 coronavirus cases today, while our test positivity rate ticked up to 4%. 29 more San Diegans have also lost their lives to COVID, bringing that total to more than 3,200. The Petco Park vaccination superstation reopened today. It had been closed since Friday because of a weather-related delay in receiving vaccines from Moderna. People lined up early at the site, eager to get those shots. The county says nearly 80,000 doses shipped are now arriving. They do represent the doses expected this week, along with those delayed last week. We're told that 19% of the local population over 16 has received at least one shot.
The FDA says vaccine makers will not have to go through another long round of clinical trials to update their shots against variants. ABC 10 News anchor Derek Stahl is going in depth to explain how it will work.
With the South Africa variant showing signs of partial resistance to our vaccines, the FDA says there's an urgent need to respond with updated shots. And on Monday, it laid out a regulatory shortcut. But to understand how the FDA wants to speed things up, you have to go back to the original clinical trials. Pfizer and Moderna recruited tens of thousands of volunteers for 3 phases of testing. In the final phase 3 stage, half got the vaccine and half got a saltwater placebo. Then the companies waited for volunteers to encounter the virus in their daily lives. That part alone took about 4.5 months, roughly half of the clinical trials.
In the accelerated version, you basically don't wait for people to get disease. You just look at antibody response.
UC San Francisco's Dr. Peter Chinhong says for the modified vaccines, drug makers will simply administer shots and then take blood samples. They'll measure for a specific kind of antibody, one that can neutralize the mutated virus.
By not waiting for people to get the disease or go to the hospital, you can actually just study hundreds of people instead of tens of thousands of people.
If the updated vaccine produces similar neutralizing antibodies to the old vaccine, it'll be considered a success. The FDA says the process should take a few months. Dr. Christian Ramers is with Family Health Centers of San Diego.
Now, this depends on a couple of assumptions, and the assumptions are that the manufacturing is going to be identical to the original vaccine. And so that's where the FDA says, look, you're not changing that much except for just a tiny little piece of the message that goes inside that mRNA vaccine. So you don't need to start from scratch.
He says the procedure is similar to the way the flu vaccine is updated each year for new strains. But unlike with flu, scientists aren't as sure of the exact number of antibodies we need for protection.
There's really not much that's changing other than just a very tiny little tweak. So I don't anticipate that there's going to be any new safety signals. So yes, I am comfortable with the approach the FDA has taken. And to be honest, it has to be this approach because the variants are going to move too fast.
And the variants aren't just affecting vaccines. The FDA also released new rules for updating drugs like monoclonal antibodies and diagnostic tests. The agency says further mutations could make those tests less reliable, something that happened with HIV. Still, we're not there yet. The FDA says our current vaccines remain effective, but they want to be ready just in case. Derek Stahl, ABC 10 News.
We know there are a lot of questions and different experiences with the vaccine rollout. Our ABC 10 News in-depth team is committed to tracking down answers and sharing your stories. Send us an email to tips@10news.com.
Late today, the City Council voted to adopt new regulations over those short-term rentals in San Diego. As our ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer Kastner explains, this issue has a lot of people fired up.
On Tuesday, nearly 100 people called in to speak out over a new proposal for tackling the city of San Diego's hot-button debate over how to regulate short-term vacation rentals.
I do support this ordinance.
This regulation will be a crushing blow to these businesses already trying to recover from the pandemic.
The city estimates there are 16,000 local homes used primarily as vacation rentals. Passing the new proposal caps that amount at about 6,500, which is a little more than 1% of the overall housing supply, with the biggest concentration in Mission Beach. Hosts would have to apply for licenses, and the city would step up nuisance enforcement. Some callers voiced support for the proposal's passing.
We encourage the council to approve this measure. Tourism has changed in the face of COVID-19. And what is our economic recovery going to look like? San Diego needs to be a city that's adaptable, and short-term vacation rentals provide an opportunity for our tourism industry to recover.
San Diego is facing a housing crisis. Short-term rentals take affordable housing off the market, promotes homelessness, and raises housing costs disproportionately.
Others expressed concern over what they deemed as an inadequate solution.
If you must have a cap, please raise it and do not make it random. Prioritize us responsible owners. We do need a compromise, but completely taking away my right to do what I want with my own house is not a compromise.
So the two things that I see missing from this ordinance that'll make it almost unenforceable is any sort of platform accountability and data gathering from them. Not only on TOT tax, but who's listing the property and where.
Jennifer Kastner, ABC 10 News.
The county still has to hash out some smaller issues in the ordinance, which is expected to take effect next January.
A brief scare about 90 minutes ago in the Skyline area. A small vegetation fire broke out very close to homes on Cadman Street. Sky 10 flew over the scene as firefighters quickly knocked down the flames. No structures burned, and the cause of the fire is under investigation. And the fire department just rescued a man injured near the Cabrillo Lighthouse in Point Loma. The man suffered a leg injury around 5:30 and was found on the beach below. He was flown to the hospital. We don't have word exactly how badly he was hurt.
Police say they have caught the hit-and-run driver who injured a woman during an illegal street drifting contest. This happened about 10 days ago at Carroll Canyon and Scranton Roads in Sorrento Valley. A driver doing donuts hit a woman in the crowd who was watching and then just took off. Today, police announced that they arrested 23-year-old Liam O'Connor at a home in University City. The woman who was hit did survive but was seriously hurt.